What a wonderful world.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Real. I am so happy to be sitting on my couch right now. You have no idea. I have missed you guys, first of all, because I feel like even though I've been doing episodes, we haven't had like a catch up to date, face to face moment. And so I miss you guys, and I'm excited to just I'm literally rotting on the couch today, and we're gonna spew and we're gonna get into it because there's a lot that we need to catch up on. There's a lot that has happened. And I'm gonna try to get through it all. And next week there's gonna be no new episode. So we're gonna get juicy in this one. We're gonna get into it. I did some voicemail submission things so that you guys can send in voicemails, and then also did a Q&A on my Instagram. We have a lot of content today to get into, but I first of all just wanted to do a little life update because again, a lot has happened and I miss you guys and we just need to get into it. So I hope you guys are all doing well. I feel like I've had an insane yet boring past month. First of all, I told a story on TikTok Live about this guy that I'd been seeing, and I felt like the live literally went viral. People were just so shook at what happened. And if you were on that live, I see you, we see each other. Fucking wild, seriously. I was I didn't know this many people would care about this story. But it was so fucking funny. It was basically, I'm gonna retell it as much as I can without getting into too many details, but it was too good not to share. I'm trying to think of what else happened aside from that. I have some new characters in my life for sure. I'm not going to get into what's going on with my dating life. I really only talk about things after the fact, because if I talk about a dating situation while I'm still in it, we run the risk of the guy seeing it, and I'm really not into that vibe. So I really only talk about something if it's over, and still never revealing details about anything. I also had a run-in with this was the one of the more bizarre things that have happened to me, but I received a wild fucking DM from someone in a guy that I used to date, a girl that he's dating, life. And it was oh my fucking God, what is going on? Basically, anytime I post a TikTok, people think it's about them. I shouldn't even be talking about this, but I couldn't help it because I was sitting at dinner and I was so fucking shook. I'm did I read that right? Anyways, I posted a video, as I always do, talking about a situation that literally, sometimes I post relatable TikToks that are about my friends. It's not even about me. It's about my friend, and me and my friend were talking. She had gone through a breakup a year ago. I was going through a breakup kind of with this guy. It was kind of a situationship breakup with this guy I'd been seeing, and I posted a TikTok being why every guy that I date, and this was also about my best friend because my best friend dated a guy a year ago that ended up dating a new girl, and I was why does every guy I date end up dating a blonde girl? I literally threw that out there so loosely. Which by the way, blondes have a type. Guys that like blondes, they always consistently go for blondes. That's why I said that. But I was why do every guy that dates me, they end up going for someone that's super granola, and basically saying that I'm really high maintenance, and that after dating me they need to go for someone so chill, down to earth, doesn't mind going camping. They go the total opposite direction. And someone took offense to this thinking it was about them, and I was I could not believe my fucking eyes. At the DM that I got. But I was oh my God, this has nothing to do with literally any other girl at all. As a matter of fact, it was kind of poking fun at myself for I was talking about how I literally am so high maintenance that I feel guys have to then date someone that's super low maintenance after me because I'm fucking obnoxious. Which, you know what? I'm never gonna settle. I'm gonna wait until I find a man that loves me for me and doesn't care that I'm fucking obnoxious. And you know what? It's all relative because my family members are way more high maintenance than me. but like my friends think I'm super high maintenance when it comes to certain things. So it depends who you ask, honestly. But yeah, I got a DM and it was fucking crazy. It was like from like this guy I used to date's like girlfriend being like, dude, this is about me. And I'm like, I like can promise on my dead great grandmother's life that it's like fully not about you. But that was really silly and goofy. And so glad we cleared the air because damn, I was like, I also in the back of my head was thinking of my friend's ex-boyfriend who was dating like a literal, my best friend's brunette, so it doesn't have to do with blonde people, but he's dating a girl that is legit a granola version of her. Like they travel together, but they kind of like do more like chill, like camping vibes. They like went in an RV once and did like an RV tour. I was like, my best friend would never vibe with that. Like my best friend would never do that. So it's just funny how a guy can go for someone that it feels like it's a copy and paste of you, but it's like a different font, like it's a different version. So it was like down to earth version of my best friend, even though she is down to earth. But anyways, I like posted a TikTok about that and it was so fucking funny. I was like, holy shit. Every time I post something about a occurrence that happens in my life or in one of my friends' lives, someone from my past comes out of the woodwork and is like, is this about me? And I'm like, 9 times out of 10, it's not. There have been times where I'm like, oh shit, sorry. Like, yeah, that is about you. Or they'll like, no. And I'll just be like, yeah, like that was about you. Like, sorry, dude. But most of the time it's not. And I was like, oh my fucking God, this is crazy. Anywho, that was like an update of something that happened this past week that I was like, what is happening? I'm scared. Mom, take me home. Also was dating this guy. This is total separate subject, but just another life update. If you guys know, you know, I was dating this guy and basically turns out we live in the same quarters, let's just say. And it was a very scary situation when I realized that we didn't realize we were going out on a date as neighbors because we didn't meet through being neighbors, which like if you meet through being neighbors, like that's kind of fun and fresh, right? Like I would love to meet someone that like lives in my building that I like met in the fucking elevator. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. I met this guy on Hinge and when I tell you, like, I show up to the restaurant 5 minutes into the date, I'm like, where do you live? And he, like, literally says my address. And I'm like, can you repeat that? Like, I needed to take a moment. So I'm like, okay, great. Like, whatever. I guess no matter what, you're taking me home tonight. It was a wild coincidence. I actually think I need a shot to talk about this. A ginger shot, but a shot. So give me one moment. Please hold. If you're on the audio version, just hold for a minute. Think happy thoughts. Cheers. Hey, birds. Oh my God, I was so choked. Guys, I only got like half of it down. This just shows I can't take shots. Actually, I think I'm being dramatic. A little ginger shot followed by a little lemon perfect. Does anyone else drink lemon perfect? I fucking love it. Anything that's not water, but that's water adjacent, I will drink. Unless it's like a flavored seltzer. I really hate that shit. Like seltzer that's plain, I'll drink. But once you cross over into the flavor, but not a soda category, like it's not quite a Poppy or an Olipop. It's like a raspberry seltzer. That makes me want to die, quite frankly. So I just really can't do it. But lemon perfect, I absolutely love because it's flavored enough that it almost tastes like a lemonade-y water. Okay, back to business here. So I go on this date with this guy, and I like had met him on Hinge, but we like happened to like go to the same school when we were younger, like whatever. I come back to our place, and throughout the date, some like interesting things happened. He had told me that you guys are actually going to die if you haven't heard the story yet, but basically he had told me that he was close friends, with an ex-president of the United States. Said president of the United States was not someone that I was quite the fan of. Actually, someone that I spend a lot of my life hating on. So you can imagine my despair when I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, this guy's like super cute. And then he like drops that bomb on me. That bomb. That was he really said, here you go, take it or leave it. And I was like, how much money do you have? Like, what are we working with here? No, I'm just kidding. Am I? No, because he like he seemed a bit wealthy. So I was like, okay, like, can I like fuck around with this dude? Like, can I at least like have a little like fun? Like, if this guy has money, can we like have fun together? Can we like have fun like sex? Can we like wine and dine situation? Like, maybe this can be a really fun like friends with benefits situation, or like a really fun like I'm dating him but I don't quite see a future with him. Turns out I decided not to go on another date with him because it was too much. It was too much. Like, when he was talking, I was like, it's giving a little stuck up. It's giving a little like, and the family shit and the friends with the president shit. His name rhymes with Ronald, and I was not having it. So I'm like, I'm not going to see this guy again. Like, probably not. Next Friday rolls around. I'm at Soho House having drinks with my friends. And I'm like, I wonder what blank is doing. I was trying to think of a name for him. I can't even think of a fucking name because any name I think of, I feel like it's a name of a guy that I've already dated. Frank. What is Frank doing? There's no way anyone's named Frank. What is Frank doing? I text him, and sure enough, he's like at dinner. He's like, I'm going to be home soon. I was like kind of trying to like have him meet us out because like I was like, I'm with friends. Like, you should like bring your friends and meet us out. But he's like, oh no, like I'm going home to our home that we share. And so I'm like, he's like, when like are you done with like going out? Like, you should come over. And I was like, okay, like Sly, like I'll come over. At this point I'm thinking like, this man is like, you know, it's not serious. Like, I'm going over there and like it's going to be that kind of situation, if you know what I mean. So finally I leave because my friends are like, we were having an early night anyways. And I go home and I have a drink with him and we chill, we sit, and one thing leads to another. And we're like sitting there, like making out, like things are getting like progressively like further. And he says something that quite literally, if I had socks on, they would have been knocked off. Like, I was so unwell. So we're like starting to like whatever. And he's like, were you going to like ask to use a condom? Like, in like a voice that was like, how dare you, like, not. And I'm like, why was that my job to bring that up? Like, why couldn't that be your job to bring that up? Hello? He's like, well, are you on birth control? And I was like, no. And he's like, I mean, I'm not, like, and then he starts going into like, I don't have any diseases, but like, you never know. Like, trying to say that he thinks I'm basically trash because I didn't like immediately, like as soon as we got into his room, be like, do you have a condom? Sorry. So I'm like, okay, what would you like me to do? He's like, what would you do if we're not using a condom? Like, what would be the situation here? And I'm like, I was going to ask, like, you just asked now. He says to me, don't worry, your Jewish mommy will get you an abortion. Saying like, God forbid I got pregnant because I'm not on birth control and I didn't suggest to use a condom. He's like, don't worry, your Jewish mommy will get you an abortion. If my Botox didn't just start kicking in, my eyebrow would be up here right now. Like, seriously, what the fuck? I like couldn't have been more speechless. And at that point, like, it was the Sahara Desert in his room. Like I couldn't, like nothing was going to happen. Like I was like unwell. But I'm like, I just pursued this man to this point. It has been like maybe an hour of being in this kid's apartment and I'm in it to win it now. Like I can't just leave and drop out. That would be such a fucking waste of time hearing this kid talk. So I'm like, fuck. I just have to like quite literally finish. Like we have to quite literally finish the deed. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I'm just trying to at that point like block everything out and just numb myself and like get this over with. And I know that's really fucked up and I don't suggest that anyone does that. But I just like I was like I also just like hadn't like had sex in a while and I was like I need to like just like have sex with someone and whatever. So I'm like hoping that like when we have sex it'll be really good. And I'm like, hopefully it'll be worth it after everything that he just said to me that quite literally made me want to die. So we start having sex. Not the fucking vibe. Not the fucking vibe. Just wasn't meshing. Things weren't meshing. Things were, when like, when you're just on two different pages, like the pages, we were in two different books. So he was doing a lot of the work. Like I'll give him that. Like, but then like sweat started dripping on me. So I'm like, I actually need to like be like, I need to evacuate the premises. So I go into evacuation mode. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't even let him finish. I'm sorry. I couldn't. Maybe I'm an asshole for that. I'm like, oh my God, like it's getting really late. Like I have to go. And he's like, you don't want to like cuddle and like sleep over? I'm like, do I want to fucking cuddle and sleep? No, I want to go into my room and literally never come out after this interaction. Like, I actually think I may never look at a man the same after this. So, anyways, I feel bad for this man. And then I realize he's probably a jerk. So, do I really feel bad? Probably not. Anywho, I leave in his expensive little clothes because the guy's wealthy. A side note, we're at dinner and like this was like a week before. I like forgot to say this, but we were at dinner and he goes to me, where do you summer? I've never used summer in that context before. I go, Bethany Beach, Delaware. Where do you summer? He goes, oh, me and my family yacht around Capri and like yacht around Europe. But you where and what? You yacht around Europe. I need to get my money up at this point. Because what am I doing wrong? I want to yacht around Europe. You can imagine why I had kept the texting going after that. I want to fucking yacht around Europe. I also was like, oh, I'm going to Miami like next weekend. And this was on the date, like on our first date after we just met. He goes, oh, like you should let me know when you're there. Like I'll fly out and take you to dinner on Saturday night. You're gonna what? You're gonna fly out and then take me to dinner and then fly back home? I'm like, oh fuck. Like I'm not mad at that. At all. So yeah, it was a situation. That was why it led to this point. So yes, the kid he definitely comes from some money. I'm leaving his apartment and I'm like, please, sir, can I just like, I'm in like a skirt, tights, a whole situation. I didn't want to put it back on to literally go downstairs to my apartment. So I'm like, please, sir, can you just give me some of your poorest costumes? Like literally all I wanted was a fucking flannel pajama and like a Hanes t-shirt. And I'm like, please, like nothing designer. Cause like the kid only has like fucking expensive shit. Like everything was Restoration Hardware in that bitch. So I'm like, please. He gives me a fucking pair of Ralph Lauren pajama pants. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? At this point, I'm taking it home. So I go back home in my Ralph Lauren pajama pants and white t-shirt. And I never talked to the kid again. I wish him well. I really do. I don't think he necessarily did anything wrong. I just think maybe don't make jokes about abortion to women, just like for future reference. And also, maybe don't ask women that don't clearly, like, I wasn't wearing a Birkin. Like, what did I look like? I, like, was wearing a fucking, like, rented handbag. So I'm like, we just need to back up here and realize, like, I'm not on the same level as you. And, like, I don't summer. There is the seasons, the summer, and I enter it naturally, but I don't summer. So whatever, it was a crazy experience, and I like wish this guy, like, totally, like, wish him well, but I was just a little, like, fucked up about, like, the commentaries that were made, and then also the fact that I had to sleep with him after, and also the fact that he summers, and also the fact that he's friends with one of the former presidents of the United States. But aside from that, that was a, like, few weeks situation with a man that I was seeing. Also, I had someone come here to purge my closet. Like, I had someone come and, like, organize everything, purge my closet, and we found the pajama pants in my closet. And they were like, oh, like, sell or donate. And I'm like, well, donate, because I'm not going to profit off the Ralph Lauren pajama pants. Also, do you sell pajama pants? Like, I feel like no. So if you do happen to see a homeless man walking the streets of New York City in plaid Ralph Lauren pajama pants, just know that thank you to my neighbor. Thank you to that man, because you know what? At least he did some charity work, you know? But yeah, that was my situation with that guy. Quite crazy, if you ask me. Another life update, just so you guys know, I'm leaving the country. So honestly, it is giving, like, this guy energy. He would love to know that. But I'm going to Lisbon tomorrow because actually a really cool thing that I'm doing. I'm working, like, doing a collaboration with the Four Seasons in Lisbon, which is so fucking cool. I've been DMing hotels since as long as I can remember because I'm a hotel girly. Like, I mean, who isn't? But also with me, like, I'm obsessed. Like, I know every luxury hotel in every city in the entire world, like, everywhere. Like, I used to do social media for a luxury travel agency back when I had my business doing, like, social media management, web design, whatever, when I was, like, fresh out of college. And so I, like, just got very into, like, luxury hotels and luxury travel. And so my sister had a list of places she was traveling because she's studying abroad right now in Barcelona, and Lisbon was on that list, and I had never been. It was the one place that I hadn't been to yet. So I said it would be really cool if before I have my trip with my family, when we all go visit her and go around other parts of Spain, I go by myself and just have some sister time. And I'm lucky enough and blessed enough that I can, because I work for myself. I have a free schedule. So I blocked off like a 5-day whatever schedule, and I DM'd a bunch of hotels in Lisbon, and the Four Seasons, which is like was obviously the reach and my dream hotel, said that they would comp my stay. So that's what's happening this week. I'm going to Lisbon for like 3 days. And then I'm going to Barcelona to see my sister's apartment. There was literally no hotels in Barcelona to stay at. Like, I booked really last minute, but you would also think, like, in a big city, like, there would be openings at a hotel. Like, literally there was none. But I found, like, the Paxton, or no, not the Paxton. Sorry. The Hoxton. It's a chain. It's a hotel chain. And it looked like normal. I was looking on TikTok for recs because, you know, that's what your girl does. She goes on TikToks for all of her recs everywhere. So I was looking on TikTok for recs because I've already stayed at the Edition. The W was $6,000 a night. I guess the prices were just jacked up because of whatever's going on right now. It's like the 3 days in Barcelona. I don't know. For some reason, the prices were like fucking jacked up. So where else did I look? I wasn't going to look at the Mandarin Oriental because that's out of my budget. There was like some other places that I looked basically everywhere that was recommended, and like there was legit nothing. So I'm staying at the Hoxton or whatever. And it looks nice. So I'm doing that for 2 nights, and then I'm coming home. And then I was literally just thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, I really want to go to Cabo. I have never been to Cabo. I've been to other parts of Mexico, but I really want to go to Cabo. It just looks so beautiful, and it's just a place I've never been. I got invited to a brand trip to Cabo, so I'm really, really excited about that. I'm bringing Kit with me as my +1. I'm so excited. We're going to have the best time. Me and Kit have done a brand trip together. We've done a couple brand trips together, I think, but we've done +1 together where I was her +1 to Coachella last year. So I can finally return the favor, which I'm happy about. I mean, I don't know if this is as good as Coachella for her, but I'm happy to be returning the favor. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to be with her. And yeah, those are my like general life updates, story time, whatever. Now I would love to get into the voicemails.
Hey, Carly, love you so much. I'm so proud of you for venturing on your own. I just wanted to throw that out there. So, I'm just going to ask you if you could tell yourself something, like give yourself advice at age 22, 23, what would you tell yourself and why? I'm 22 right now, and it feels like everything is so heavy and all my problems are the end of the world. And I know it's silly because I'm only 22, but they just feel so extreme to me. So if you could give advice, I guess, to 22, 23-year-olds or just to yourself in the past, what would you say?
I absolutely love that question. I think you're so valid to feel like everything is the end of the world at 22, 23, because think about it. You're just out of college. In college, you almost look back and you feel like, oh my God, are you fucking kidding? I was complaining about my class or like something that like you look back in college and you're like, that was not a real life problem. I mean, it was in the moment. And your problems in college are very valid. Your problems your whole life are valid. But once you're in like the adult world, it almost minimizes. You realize like, oh shit, that wasn't as big as I thought it was, because now everything now feels so real. Like like you realize there are like actual consequences. Like you're dealing with money, you're dealing with jobs, like you're dealing with more serious relationships and friendships, and everything just gets a little bit more real. What I would say honestly at 22, 23 is like have patience and have faith. And I know that's so broad and it's hard to wrap your head around, but your job at 22, 23 is not your job for your life. Your friends, not always your friends for your life. Your relationships, not always your relationships for life. There's a lot of uncertainty, especially when you're moving to a new city or you're entering a new chapter in 22, 23 years old, like so many people are. And so I need you to know that like it's okay to just sit in the uncertainty and the discomfort and just vibe there. And I know that's really hard to sit in discomfort, but instead of being like, I have to get out of this, I have to get out of this, what do I do? What do I do? Like it gives you that panic feeling. Try to just sink into that unknown period, that period where you're at a crossroads and you're not sure what's going on yet with your life. Take everything day by day. It helps make those crossroads period easier. And just know that like things work out. You have to have faith that like things do work out in your favor, and even give yourself those affirmations every day. Like every day things are working out for me. Like everything happens for a reason. Really, like those affirmations are things that got me through that period of my life. Even like there's this quote also like work hard in silence, let success be your noise. If you're like working towards something, not always talking about it and like complaining about a job not being right, and instead like keeping your head down, really thinking about what you want, thinking about how this job makes you feel or how this person makes you feel. And also knowing that your gut tells you everything you need to know. And so if your gut is saying something's wrong, it doesn't mean you need to act on it right away, but it means just pay really close attention to signs in your life. Like if you're, let's say, I keep using job as an example because I feel like it's really prevalent for 22, 23-year-olds, but let's say you're at a job and you're like unhappy, but you're just kind of in a stuck zone, you're in a waiting zone. Keep your eyes peeled for signs everywhere. Keep your eyes open for someone that you meet that says that they have a connection to a new job offering, or something that you experience that makes you realize you might have a different passion that you want to explore. I really, even to this day and throughout my whole life, I take all of my experiences as signs. And when something happens to me in my life, I don't believe that it's a coincidence. I believe that it's for a reason. And so if you're in a specific job or whatever, in a friendship or whatever, and something happens, realize that something happened for a reason, and it's because it's guiding you and leading you to the next thing that's going to happen. And I hope that makes sense. I know it's vague, but because I don't have like an exact question, I'm trying to really say something that's going to help apply this to everyone. But again, 22, 23 years old, it's fucking hard. It's a lot of uncertainty, it's uneasiness, and hang in there. Know that like that 1 or 2 years, it's uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable, but just take it day by day. Have fun during your weekends. Like really like enjoy those free moments of fun time. Don't take your job or everything. Like don't like be consumed in it because it's not going to help. Social life is really fun at that time, and it might be the only time, if you really hate your job or hate everything else that's going on, that you have that escape. So rely on your social interactions, your friends, your hobbies, other things you can do to kind of like bring you joy and lift you up, while not everything in your life might not be, going great. But good luck. I love you. And, if you're going through that right now, like I feel you. Like I had been there.
Okay, first of all, I love you. And I just want some advice. I'm in high school and I just want to experience like high school love. And I know it's so cliche, but I would love to like know what it is like. But like, I feel like I'm not because I'm like scared to talk to boys. Like my friends, they always have some boys that they're talking to or that they're like friendly with. And I'm just like, not there yet. So how do I like start talking to a guy?
Okay. This is so fucking relatable. Like you've no idea. Like the amount of people that like go through this and feel this, it is so common, especially in high school. I was like this in high school. I was terrified to talk to boys. I would flirt, I would talk. But at the same time, it didn't mean that I didn't feel awkward or uncomfortable. And so many people actually, I think there's a lot of pressure for girls to like be ready, like ready in quotes, like at a certain level where they're ready to date. And a lot of people aren't. I even think of like my cousins, for example. Sorry, I'm totally outing them in this, but hopefully they'll be okay with it. I mean, I feel like my cousins, some of them were later bloomers. Like they weren't ready to date yet, or they didn't even show any interest in dating. That's okay. Like as long as your family and like friends aren't pressuring you, it's okay to like not feel ready. You need to trust that like in time you will be. And like it might just take like a certain person or just like a certain event that makes you feel like, okay, I think I'm ready to like start dating now. But don't worry, that's a totally normal feeling. And also, I think the best thing you can do is to not add dating pressure when you're talking to boys and just start off with someone as a friendship. My first boyfriend was a friend. Like he was a best friend. I was awkward around people, but I was so silly and so goofy and so myself with my guy friends. And so if you're afraid and if you feel like you can't be yourself around a love interest kind of situation, just practice on guy friends. Like just genuinely go into it. And I know it's hard because it can be intimidating because you have it in the back of your mind, but go into talking to a guy with the intention of not always like I like this person or I'm flirting with this person. Go in with the intention of like we're just going to catch up about our day. Or also like do it in groups. Like I think that sometimes you and another girl and like two guys, it's easier to interact than a one-on-one situation in the beginning. And also I do have to say I had so many friends when I was in high school that they were like at parties talking to boys, flirting with boys, and like even just like with girls too, like just as like in a friendship level. Like I just had a lot of social anxiety, and I was always like, why do they have such an easy time like talking to people? I could not be more like extroverted when it comes to like social situations now, like when I'm out. So I think it's a maturity thing, and let yourself ride the wave. Like you don't need to be like everyone else. If those certain situations make you uncomfortable, it's okay. You're not alone. And also maybe even tell your friends before, if you're in like a party situation or you're in a social interaction, kind of a social setting, let your friends know beforehand that you do get a little nervous and you do get a little uncomfortable, and have them kind of grab your hand and help include you in the conversation and help lead. That can be really, really helpful if they are willing to do that. But just know, like, I feel you. Like, I think more people feel that way than you will ever know. And with time, you will be able to develop those like better social skills and social interactions, but don't rush it. It's totally normal.
Hi, Carly. I love you and your podcast. I want to know your advice for I'm graduating in May, and I just want, your advice on moving to the city and just post grad feelings and adulting and not being so anxious about, becoming an adult and going on to the next chapter.
Okay. I feel like we kind of touched on this. We ended up touching on this before, but being patient and knowing that things are going to work out. You don't have to know what you're going to do with your life. Also, if you're moving to the city, I do have to give city advice. If you want to live in Murray Hill, fucking live in Murray Hill. I loved it. I was a View 34 girl. I absolutely loved it. If you know what that is, if you're a New York City girl. And dive into meeting new friends. Also, like this is a part that I didn't mention before, so maybe I'll touch on the friendship aspect. The best way to meet new friends when you're moving to a new city is literally have one comfort person or one friend. You don't need multiple, like when you're first moving there, because I know it's hard to like know a lot of people. Literally take that one friend, go out to dinner, and tell that friend to bring their friends. Like, it's always about expanding your group through mutual friends, and that's what I did. Like, literally, you have no idea like how many times I met a friend through a friend. And if you guys know my friend Rob, who like he's everywhere, he's all over my socials and stuff, I met him through one of my camp friends, and then he became like my best friend. And so I think like it's all a matter of just being open and being open to also meeting all different kinds and types of people, not just the typical person that you're used to. Keeping that open mind, and also meeting people through work is really great. I feel like so many people like love their jobs for the reason of like they actually get to become friends with coworkers. So just keep an open mind. Like, you never know where you're going to make new friends. And yeah, just I'm wishing you the best of luck, but just know like it's okay for things to feel uncertain, as I said before. And yeah.
Hi, Carly. So, I wanted to get your advice on something that I've been struggling a lot with lately. So, ever since really high school, I feel like I've been getting a lot of validation and depending on validation from boys rather than myself. And it's something I've really struggled with and have been continuing to work with through college. But now I have a boyfriend of a year, and I still feel that I have a lot of trouble finding validation within myself, and I look for validation in him a lot. So I was just wondering what your advice would be for really gaining that confidence in yourself and finding ways to fill yourself up without depending on other people.
I mean, it's exactly what you said, right? It's literally like finding hobbies and finding friends and like finding things outside of men, like that category in general. Like figuring out what fills you up and makes you happy and feels like a better version of you. Something I always think of, and I know it like might sound dumb or whatever, is like, how can I like help others? Because sometimes feeling needed and feeling wanted are two different things. Like, your boyfriend, obviously, like he needs you, but it's more of like he wants you. Like, he's choosing you. And when you like do something like volunteer or when you help your friends, it makes you feel like you have a higher purpose almost outside of just like your relationship. I always think of like ways that I can volunteer in the city I'm in. I even just like do my friends' makeup, like doing little like acts of kindness and acts of service for the people that you love, again, outside of your relationship. Going to meet up with family members and having dinner, treating your mom to something nice. Like, I don't know why, but things like that always make me feel like a valued individual. And sometimes it's hard to like, I don't know, when you only have that male figure in your life and you're always like doing things for them and they're doing things for you, it's hard to remember that you're an individual outside of your relationship. I think, I'm not saying you are like this, but I'm saying a lot of people get so caught up in relationships that they forget that they add value to this world, like outside of it. And then that becomes problematic. And I think that the fact that you're like very self-aware, like you're aware that like you have this problem, it can't be that bad of a problem, you know, because you're aware of it, you're looking to make improvements on yourself. So I would say because you're in a relationship, I do think it's kind of hard to actually learn those hard truths and those hard lessons while you're still in a relationship. I think unfortunately, because like like assuming you're happy in your relationship, I think a lot of those like learning lessons and those times where you really realize like who you are as an individual and like is when you're going through like really rough times, like during breakups and stuff. So I'm happy like that you're in a relationship and you're happy. And you know, if you do get validation from your partner, that's a good thing. Like you should feel validated from your partner. But doing things like volunteering and being there for your friends and even just through work and through like anything else that you do outside of that, you're allowed to look to that for validation instead. So I think you're on the right path, and you're not wrong for, you know, wanting to find happiness and seek joy from outside things outside of just your relationship. But yeah, just get creative. Think of things that you can do. Even picking up a new hobby and learning a new hobby and feeling like worthy and like just feeling proud of yourself because you tried something new. It could be literally anything. It could be taking a fucking pottery class, you know? But just kind of like picking up those new skills and hobbies that you can say like, I accomplished this today and I feel happy about it. And looking for that kind of internal validation as well.
For context, I'm 18 years old, and I wanted to ask you if you have like any advice on how to deal with this situation. So, my ex-boyfriend, I love him very, very, very much, and I also believe that he loves me very, very, very much. And there's like a couple of struggles that we've been going through, but we are communicating and like wanting to get back together. One of the main things is that he had a very traumatic childhood and he won't go to therapy. Like he won't work on himself, and that makes me very frustrated and it really impacts our relationship. So if you have like any advice on that, like basically on how to deal with a man who you love very much and who you are very empathetic towards, but he simply does not take care of himself mentally, and you know, yeah, so that's it. Okay, love you so much. Sending love from Lisbon.
Love from Lisbon? Oh my God. I'll see you in like a day then. Oh my God. Okay. I feel like so many girls go through this situation because as women, we are taught to be more emotional. We're taught to care more about our emotions and take care of ourselves in like an emotional way. Whereas men, it's almost still frowned upon in society, and also they're not as encouraged to go to therapy or take care of themselves in that way. However, if your relationship is struggling because of his mental health problems, you should not, and I repeat, you should not enter into the relationship again if he is still having those mental health struggles. You need to explain to him that like your relationship is not going to be successful if he doesn't have the tools or the mental capacity or the emotional intelligence to be able to like communicate with you properly and like work through things properly. And I think you need to say to him, and this might sound rough, but you need to say to him, like, if you truly love me and you truly want this to work, then you'll go to therapy and you will talk about your feelings and work through your feelings. Because how can a couple be successful if even like as an individual person can't be successful in learning about their traumas and how to get through them? It's a really simple answer. It's not anything long-winded. It's really like a matter of you guys should not be getting back together unless he is getting the mental help that he needs, because not only is it affecting your relationship, but then that's tearing you down as an individual. Like you are being affected by that, and we don't want that. Like and I think that's also something you can say to him. You can say like, if you love me, you wouldn't want me to suffer because of your traumas, and you're here for you and you love him, and you're staying and telling him to do this because you love him enough that you want to work through it and you want to get back together. But in order to do that and like you love him so much, you want to see success in him and in your relationship. So in order to do that, he needs to go to therapy. He needs to be willing to work on yourself. But you can lead a horse to water. You can't force them to drink. So he needs to want to do this for himself and for you both as well.
Hi, Carly. I'm such a huge fan. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to ask for advice. So, I wanted to get advice on friendships coming and going in college, and specifically like a trio group. So I'm a senior in college right now. In my freshman year of college, I got really close with these two other girls, and we kind of became like a very well-known trio across campus, not in a mean way. It's just like every time you thought of one of us, you thought of the other two, and we just kind of did everything together. However, around like my sophomore year, junior year, I started to notice like two of them became a lot more closer just because they did a lot more similar things. I was in like my own sorority. I did like my own different orgs. So like I very much like didn't have a lot of similar things to them, but that was okay. However, over time, like we really started to grow apart. And now as seniors, I really don't know anything going on in their lives. They kind of just update me as things go. And it kind of sucks just because we used to be super duper close and I'm just kind of the one being left out. I've tried to make like plans amongst us and they always kind of fall through. I'm always the one reaching out. I'm always the one like saying, let's do something. So I just need a little bit of advice of how to navigate this and not let it affect me, because I'm trying my best not to think about it, but it sucks when you always see those two people hanging out together and I'm never invited or I'm never included. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, first of all, I was in a trio group in college, actually. I don't know how I always get myself in these situations, seriously. But I was in a trio group in college, and the same thing happened to me. Like, these two girls just, they would, they would go to hot yoga together. They had the same eating habits. They kind of would, like, they had, like, a toxic kind of, like, codependent relationship, I would say. And I think they're aware of that, too. I know they're aware of that, too. And, we all lived together. Like, it was very much like, but I would kind of, I would feel left out sometimes. And then the other times I would leave myself out. And I realize now, like, I leave myself out when I realize that I'm not feeling fulfilled and happy when I'm with those people. And I think you can't force something. When you start to drift from people and they start to drift from you, I feel like every time anyone has ever tried to like save the friendship or like talk about it, it just never ends up working. Cause like if you're gonna drift, you're gonna drift. Like I feel like the friendships that are gonna last and like the ones that like stand the test of time are the ones that like, even if you drift, you still at the same kind of points, you're always on the same page about where you're at. So like maybe you both drift, but you're both like, okay, we just kind of both drifted, but we still love each other. But like we just have other people that we're focusing on, other things that we're focusing on, and like that's okay. But in this situation, there with like when it comes to feeling left out or when it comes to like you not having like the same interests as them, I feel like it's okay to like let things kind of fizzle and drift. And like I feel like everyone always thinks it's such a negative thing, and it's really not. It's just like a part of life and a part of like growing up and being an adult. And there's not always a solution to the said problem. And it's not really always a problem, like when you realize you're just not vibing, like you're not like into the same things these people are into, or you find yourself kind of feeling depleted, no matter like you could spend 2 minutes with them or 2 hours, and either way you leave kind of feeling like depleted and like, that was not like fun for me. And like you leave feeling like I need to vent about this, and this, like that's not a good thing. Like you want to be around people that like lift you up and like make you feel good about yourself. And like I was talking to my friend about this. You don't need to have a friend that's going to better you every single time you're with them, but you at least shouldn't feel like you're being brought down. And if you feel like someone is bringing you down and their presence is making you feel negative, or the two of them when they're together with you are making you feel left out or drained, or anything that is associated with something negative, it's not worth it. And so I think, I don't know if a friendship is always worth saving. Like I just don't. I feel like the way you explained it, you kind of were pulling back as well. And yes, they could be the ones that were leaving you out, but you said like we don't have similar interests. They're in a different like sorority. So it just seems to me like this was a natural drift, and sometimes that's okay. If you want to reach out every once in a while, check in, see how they're doing, that's fine. But they're clearly not making that crazy effort with you. So I would not be bending over backwards for these people, that's for sure. And again, it's okay. Like I hate when girls act like everything needs to be not cordial or like a hate situation. Like we do not need to like hate each other. We can be not close and not hate each other. Like those things can happen. Like you can just be chill with someone and just like be like, yeah, we probably aren't meant to be best friends. Like that's chill. That's fine. Maybe you guys just aren't meant to be best friends. That's okay. You know, I think that yes, it is hard for trios to work. The only trio I know of working is literally me, Amanda, and Erica. Knock on wood. We've been best friends. We were 5. And it's just so like it's so rare to have like where all 3 have that level of maturity and similar interests. But I think it's because we grew up together, so we were bred the same. You know, like when you grow up in the same town, I feel like you kind of come out as different people in similar fonts, or like the same person in different fonts. And that's how I feel like we are. But sorry, rambling, back to your point. Let things drift and let things go. Don't feel bad about it. If you want to reach out and see how they're doing, that's fine. If you want to catch up and get dinner every once in a while, that's fine. But, you know, don't beat yourself up over it. I think what's important is that you're focusing on the road ahead and surrounding yourself with people that lift you up and make you feel good. And, you know, don't deplete that energy that you have.
When did you start making money from TikTok? Or like when did you start getting like brand deals, or like when did you start seeing that change, and like how many like followers did you have, and when did it really like take off for you?
I think like nowadays it's different than it was back then. I was doing social media management again, as I said before, because like I had my own company. So I feel like I started making like money in quotes, like probably pretty like early on, but it wasn't like, it was, I could maybe like $100. Also TikTok back then was different. Like you can make actual like good money from it. But like back then it was like brands didn't really like have the trust, and like they weren't on TikTok yet. So when I was doing it, it was like a few $100s here and there. When I could actually quit my other job and like when I could quit my business basically and do TikTok full time, it was probably 2 years ago at this point, like 2022, I think. I think I probably had like over 200K, maybe even like 300K followers. But again, I had management at that time. I think that's when I think early on in my management, that's when I started getting rid of the rest of my clients. But it's a steady build. And I think like in order to do social media full time, you kind of have to have something else coexisting, like another job kind of coexisting while you're doing that, because otherwise it's like really hard to just like free ball it. Like most people, like you can't do that. Like my parents, I don't know about anyone else, but I was lucky enough that my parents supported me through college and paid for my college, which I'm extremely blessed. But as soon as I graduated college, my parents were like, yeah, like we'll pay your phone bill, but like you're on your own. Like if you want to move to the city, that's on you. If you want to buy clothes, if you want to whatever, that's on you. So I needed to definitely get on my feet, and I couldn't do anything quickly. I couldn't just drop everything and just do social media full force. Wouldn't have worked. I would have been living at home. I couldn't have been living in the city. I couldn't have afforded it. So, yeah, it's a steady climb, but I think it's happens over time. And it's also like the more brands you work with, the more brands see that you're working with brands and then want to work with you.
So I dated someone who went to Yale University, and I found out that we broke up because he couldn't perform sexually. So I believe that he was gay, and now I'm having a hard time finding the right one. So what's like your best advice?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm sorry that happened, because I think that like it can definitely be a shot to confidence. Even though like even if he is gay, like it's still like it sucks. Like it's hard when it's like you don't feel validated by that person you were with, and you feel like the love or the even like the sexual desire like wasn't reciprocated. So like I feel for you, that's definitely hard. I think like the only thing you can do is look forward and not look back, and realize that like when you do find that next person, it is going to be such a different experience from the last relationship that you had. And also knowing that like it's so cliche, but every relationship really does teach you a lesson. And obviously I'm not in your shoes and I don't know the full story, so I don't know exactly what that lesson was for you, but I think there's a takeaway from every single relationship you're in. Nothing is wasted time to me. Like, as I said earlier in this episode, like, I do believe everything happens for a reason. So just try to find that reason. And when you're looking forward, know the things that you don't want. You know, you can take all of those lessons and say, okay, this might have been a red flag. I should look for that in my next relationship so that I know that that's a red flag. And like, if I see that, to dodge it. But yeah, it's difficult. And I think all you can do is get back on the horse, and start dating again and surround yourself with people that love you and distract yourself. You know, a lot of the time when I need to distract myself, I dive into work, I dive into hobbies, anything that can give me that boost of serotonin and feeling of accomplishment. Because I know that it's hard. And I can only imagine the extra layer of dealing with the fact that, like, if he is gay, like, it feels like you might have not known that person fully, or they might have been like, they were not intentionally, but kind of hiding something from you. So don't worry, you're going to get back on your feet. You're going to figure it out. But I really, like, I feel for you and I get it. Okay, guys. I'm going to wrap up because my camera is dying and this has already been a long episode. We're definitely going to record a part 2 of this in a couple weeks. Please, if you haven't already, give this episode a rating review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you could follow me on Instagram at Real with CW and TikTok at Real with Carly Weinstein. I love you guys and I will see you in the next episode.
What a wonderful world.